Hey there, it's Imran and you're watching Imran Plus. Welcome to my spoiler review and discussion of The Batman. If you haven't seen the movie already, go ahead and pause this video and watch the movie and then come back so you can talk about this movie in full detail. And if you haven't subscribed yet, take a moment right now to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming videos and you can help this channel grow. All right, let's get into it. We're gonna first start off with the characters of the film, starting with my most favorite and then moving down to my least favorite. Then we'll talk a little bit about the plot and the mystery of the movie, and then some of my favorite scenes, and then lastly, we'll conclude with what I think they should do after this movie. To start off, I think Robert Pattinson as Batman and Bruce Wayne was amazing. I really enjoyed his performance. And one of my favorite parts about his Batman was the narration, voiceover narration in the beginning and the end of the film. I thought that that was such a cool way to start and end the movie, and it was so Batman-like. That was a huge reason that I felt like I was reading a graphic novel, because it just really captured the Batman vibe. And I also really liked the introduction of Bruce Wayne right after we see the Riddler kill the mayor, which, by the way, was so well done and so terrifying. The introduction of these two characters being juxtaposed was intentional to set them up as similar figures. I think making Batman and Riddler parallel each other was really clever and really interesting commentary on what the effect of Batman has been on Gotham City. Because the Riddler stalks the mayor right before he kills him in the same way that Batman kind of stalks Selina in her apartment just a few scenes later after he meets her at the Iceberg Lounge. And I thought that though the similarity of those two scenes was so well done. In fact, when we first met Riddler, actually, I thought maybe that was Bruce, but then it was the Riddler. And then when we meet Bruce, I was like, it was just another scene of the Riddler. Like, they were just so similar. And when Bruce is walking through the center of Gotham City, that kind of looks like Times Square, we don't know exactly if that's Bruce or not. And I initially thought that that might have been the Riddler, but it being Bruce just shows how similar these two characters are. And I thought that was really brilliant. I also really loved the multiple alleyways and shadows that Batman could possibly have appeared out of in the opening, and showing different scenes of crime in Gotham City. I really felt like that captured this Batman's mindset of primarily inspiring fear within the people of Gotham, specifically the criminals. And the line, "I am vengeance," was a literal and figurative line throughout the film. I really liked it, and I think that that is a good kind of theme of this Batman, that in this movie he is vengeance. And what is the consequence of being vengeance in a city like Gotham City? And who are you inspiring if you are vengeance? I really liked that concept of this Batman focusing on creating fear, so much so that he doesn't realize who he's inspiring, namely people like the Riddler. And I think the idea of Batman inspiring all of the crazy villains that show up in Gotham is a really interesting point, and I'd love to explore that more. I think the concept of who came first, Batman or his rogues gallery, has always been really fascinating to me. The Gotham TV series portrayed that the villains came before Batman, but I like this movie showing the opposite, that Batman kind of is inspiring these rogue galleries to come forth. I think that's really cool. Robert Pattinson's Bruce is so engrossed in the Batman persona that he doesn't really see the use of his Bruce Wayne identity or the purpose of existing outside of being the Batman. And I think that that's why Bruce is so emo and reclusive, and I actually really like that element in this film. I think it's a really interesting take. It's something new that we haven't seen in live action very much. And I think that I want to see him grow both as Batman, but also as a Wayne over the course of these Batman films. I think making us start with this version of Bruce Wayne is actually a really good choice. And I know some people wanted to see more of the playboy philanthropist, but I think that this is a different type of Bruce Wayne that could exist today. There's just so much to explore. And that's why I love this second year interpretation of the character, because there isn't much that's left unsaid. Like, we don't have a history of Batman, a long history of all of his adventures and everything that we don't know and we just hear about. Like, we will see all of his major breakthroughs and moments with him, and I think that that's really cool. I liked starting this journey with him at the beginning. Speaking of the Batman, my second favorite character in the movie was the Batmobile. I was blown away. That Batmobile chase scene, wow, it really felt like a character of its own. You know, I actually thought that it was like self-driving until they showed Batman sitting in it and actually driving it, because I didn't pick up on when exactly he got into the Batmobile. Like, when he's talking to Catwoman and then like Penguin starts shooting at them, I never saw him get up. Like, I'm pretty sure when we still see Batman lying on the ground, even when like Jim Gordon is shooting at Penguin and Catwoman escapes. Like, I literally remember seeing him on the ground still because I was keeping track of him. So when he was like in the Batmobile, because I thought he was gonna go in the Batmobile, but then I didn't see when that happened. And then when the Batmobile was chasing Penguin, I was looking inside and I didn't see Batman sitting there. So I was like, wow, this is really cool. But it was a really good surprise. I really liked the Batmobile, the way it operated and the ruthlessness of it. It really reflected the Batman that was at the driver's wheel. Next is Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Well, as I said in my non-spoiler discussion, this is Catwoman right out of the comics. And I thought that the twist with Falcone being her father was really, really well done. I actually wasn't expecting that, even though it's in the comics, but then when they revealed it, I was like, of course she is, of course she is. And when she says, hey dad, and pulls out the gun on him, I was like, it's over. Falcone, it's over for you. This is where Selina's gonna cross the line. But then she missed. She missed. Who was standing right there? I don't know how she missed, but I'm glad she did because I didn't want to see Catwoman kill. So I really liked that. That whole scene was really cool, and I just liked the way Zoe Kravitz portrayed Catwoman in that moment. The way she was moving and handling things and her determination was really, really well done. She captured the survivalist aspect of Selina Kyle. And one of my favorite scenes of Catwoman actually is, there's a lot actually. I loved every single scene she was in, and her fighting in the movie is really, really cool. So Catwoman, but during the shootout with Penguin, when she's escaping, she still grabs one of the money bags. And I think that was just so funny and so Selina. Like, of course she was like, I'm gonna try and get what I can out of this situation. So there's actually a numerous amount of like comical moments in the movie that kind of break up the tension. And I think that a lot of people are missing that just because it's not like an overtly funny joke or like a comical scene. Like, there's humor there, and I think it's well done in the setting of the movie. Another great moment was when Selina brings the DA to Batman and Gordon and finds out that Annika is dead. I thought that Zoe Kravitz brought so much heartbreak and anger in that moment, and I like that she and Bruce butted heads about what to do and what steps to take. I really like that, and it captured like the differing viewpoints of Batman and Catwoman in the comics. I thought that was really, really cool. And when she said her 9 lives line and jumped off the building, that was brilliant. That was just so Selina Kyle, just like being like whatever and leaving. And I could see this Catwoman eventually being part of the Gotham City Sirens. And I think that Matt Reeves would do a really great job of bringing them to life, to be honest. I really would like to see that. I think this is such a perfect Catwoman to interact with Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn that I really think they should start setting that up from now. I really, really would like to see that. Next is Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. Jeffrey Wright was the perfect Jim Gordon. His scene with Batman in the GCPD interrogation room was amazing. And the way he's taking the lead from Batman, I really liked the way they operated, as I said in my non-spoiler review. Gordon was smart and skeptical and uncertain, but he wasn't stupid. He was competent and also in above his head, as is usually the case with him. So of course he's gonna need some help, but he can't trust anyone in the GCPD, so he trusts this guy roaming around in a bat suit, but a really effective bat suit. So his dynamic with Batman was fun, but very grounded, and I really, really liked it. I also love the way the bat signal operates and the way that it was made. And when both he and Batman get to the bat signal only to find out that Selina is the one who turned it on, I think that was perfect. That really captured the way all three of the characters worked. It was really, really good. And by the way, Michael Giacchino's score throughout the movie is excellent. I've been listening to it since, and everyone's theme is so good. Batman's theme, Catwoman's theme, the Penguin, like everyone's theme and the music of Gotham is just so good. So good. One of my favorite scores. So like that bat signal moment, there's a lot of small moments like that in the film that pack a powerful punch. And so I really enjoyed that. Next, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Colin Farrell was hilarious as Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin. I really liked his purple accents in all of his costumes in every scene, and I was so excited when they mentioned the Iceberg Lounge, and I really enjoyed the modern take of it. It just was so classic Penguin. But my favorite scene of the Penguin was his interrogation with Batman and Gordon, and when it's actually the Penguin who figures out the correct translation of the riddle. I thought that was such a great moment and really brought humor into the film without it affecting the overall tone. It also really developed Batman and Gordon's character in that they're trying their best to solve this and use their skills, but they still aren't at the same pace as the Riddler, and they need multiple heads to figure this out. And his waddle at the end after Batman and Gordon leave him was hilarious. I loved it. Next is Paul Dano as the Riddler. Paul Dano does a really great job taking this sometimes campy character of the Riddler seriously and reimagining him as a nerdy, dark web exploring QAnon psychopath was terrifying but so real. I was actually pretty scared at the end, the last third of the movie of the Riddler, because I was going to talk about this later, but his plan to get his followers to carry out his mission by literally shooting the mayor at the arena while the city's being flooded just reminded me of like January 6th, and I could see this Riddler existing in the real world. And I think that realism was just really unsettling. And so I like that really got to me, and so I can't really say I loved it because it was just so real, but I prefer the Riddler to be a little bit more cocky and over the top. I like the portrayal of the Riddler in the Gotham series, and I really like him in the animated TV show, like the cartoons. But I did appreciate what they created with this version, and I think that they did a really good job making him terrifying and believable. And I like that when they unmask him, his face is just it looks like this innocent nerd, but he's just so dangerous, and it was really compelling. Next is Andy Serkis as Alfred. So Andy Serkis as Alfred is an inspired choice, mainly from the Earth 1 run, Batman Earth 1. And I thought that Andy Serkis did a nice job in the role, actually. We didn't get too much of him, and personally, I like my Alfred to be more on the butler side than an ex-soldier side. I thought that Alfred in the Gotham series was a nice balance between the two, but the scene with Alfred in the hospital after the bomb goes off in the Wayne apartment was actually really moving, and that's what sold me on the character. And when I was like, you know what, this is working for me, because I love the way that Bruce and Alfred grew closer to each other through this movie, and that scene in particular. And I kind of like the concept of the Batman being a way for Bruce and Alfred to bond and heal. That actually was really interesting, and I really like that element, and I want to see that continue. And finally, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. I think he was okay. I think he did a pretty decent job. The whole movie, I was going back and forth about whether the casting of John Turturro was working for me as Falcone. And in the end, I think he was decent, with all due respect to John Turturro. I just don't think he was as menacing or threatening. There were moments where he was so close, he was just about to break through and be like, that's Falcone. Like when he's telling Bruce the truth and they're having that conversation, I could see like that was the closest he was to being like Falcone and very scary, but then it just disappeared. Like, it was right there and then he lost it. So I think it wasn't quite what I would have gone with, but I think he does a good job and it's fine for the movie. And also he dies at the end. So I really like John Doman's performance in the Gotham series. I liked his Falcone a lot, and I really think that he captured the menacing and threatening aspect of someone who's powerful. It kind of like Wilson Fisk. Now, let's move on to the Riddler's plan and talk a little bit about the plot of the movie and like the mystery. I really like Riddler as the villain, and his riddles in the movie were really good, and they weren't too hard either. It was like if Wordle was ran by a serial killer, and I think it worked for me. As for the mystery, I really wasn't sure about what he was trying to accomplish until the very, very end, where we have his monologue explanation. And with that being the way it plays out, I can see someone being disappointed or underwhelmed. And to be honest, I also would have been if it weren't for the flooding twist, because I did not see that coming. And so I was on the edge of my seat when that got revealed, because I was like, there's no way for Batman or anyone to fix it. So in the end, I guess Riddler's plan worked, and I thought that was done pretty in a clever way. I like that. I still think though that the mystery itself could have been laid out a little bit more clearly. It doesn't need to have been changed. I think the actual mystery itself was good. I think the pieces could have fit together a bit better. And I think that the way they like laid things out and gave us clues could have been done in a better way. But that's just me nitpicking, because in the end it does come together. So I guess there wasn't a moment where it didn't work, because in the end it all came together for me and I understood everything. So I guess you just kind of have to wait until the end. Because the whole time I thought I was like, is this Court of Owls? Like, what is the mystery that's gonna shake Gotham to its core? And I can kind of see being what we got the reason. Martha Arkham Point is another Batman Earth 1 inspiration, and I think it's a really interesting choice. I actually really like it, making Bruce be half Wayne and half Arkham. And I wish Matt Reeves had done like a flashback monologue explanation instead of a voiceover with document clippings, because I think that would have been more visually entertaining and interesting and clear. I would have liked to see a lot of the things play out rather than just be told them. And that's just me asking for more. I don't think it was like that big of a flaw of the movie, but I would have liked to see that more, because I think yes, the corruption was a pretty bad thing, but I think it could have driven the point home more. But I am interested in the HBO Max spinoff that was originally going to be a GCPD show, which is now an Arkham show. Reeves has said that the series will be exploring Arkham like a haunted house or like a horror story. So I'm interested to potentially explore this Arkham connection to Bruce even more in that show. And I hope that they do that and really dive deep into what makes Arkham Asylum Arkham. And maybe we might even get some more characters. There's a lot of characters that are usually in Arkham Asylum that we could be introduced to. Maybe Dr. Hugo Strange, maybe Dr. Harleen Quinzel. I actually think that would be really cool, because then we could get Gotham City Sirens down the line. So I think there's potential, so I'm interested. Back to the Riddler and the end of the film. Again, the flooding was a surprise to me, so I was on the edge of my seat, because I was like, oh, they're doing No Man's Land or 0 Year or something like that. And I thought that was really compelling, especially with like a lot of the natural disasters that we're getting today. I was actually really terrified, because again, it was like the Riddler QAnon thing. Like, I could see that happening the same way I could see this flood happening and people not being prepared for it. So that was really scary, because it was realistic. The Gotham TV series did a version of this situation where Gotham is like cut off from mainland. And they did that in the Harley Quinn animated series as well. And I enjoyed both versions. So I'm a fan of this storyline, and I'm interested to see Matt Reeves' take on it. Maybe the Colin Farrell Penguin spin-off series on HBO Max might revolve around a post-flood Gotham and the Penguin's rise to power. I think that would be an interesting use of that spin-off. So what are my favorite scenes in the movie? Hands down, my favorite is the Batmobile chase. I thought that was so riveting and thrilling, and I really loved. They should make a ride of that. Honestly, they should make a ride. The Batmobile is one of my favorite characters and I cannot wait to see more. I also really like every time we go to the Iceberg Lounge and when Batman when he first realizes, I think that he can use his Bruce Wayne persona to get things done. And when he goes back to the Iceberg Lounge as Bruce and he's like, do you know who I am? And this time the twins, who could be Tweedledee and Tweedledum, I'm not sure, but they were like, oh shoot, it's Bruce Wayne, we gotta let him in. I thought that was really cool and clever. And so I liked setting that up and exploring that as we go on. And I really like the bat tech that we're introduced to, like the lens that is recording. That's really cool. And I liked him using Selina to get inside the club and maneuver around, get information. That was such a good scene. And the way Selina was using her words and actions to communicate both with the people, but also with Bruce, very good writing, really strong. I also like the hostage situation in the church after the funeral. That was really good and really felt like Batman versus the Riddler, because we have someone strapped to a bomb and he has to solve riddles. Classic Riddler. So that was really cool. I like that. And I also like the escape from GCPD when Batman is, he punches Gordon and runs away, uses his grappling hook and then flies off the building. I thought that was great. And then when he doesn't really know exactly how to use it, but he's like, you know what? I don't care. Let's do it. And then he hits the truck under the bridge and falls. I really felt that. I pretty sure I audibly was like, ooh, that was really good. I liked it. So what should they do next after this movie? Well, they dropped a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of hints and nods, and I think that there's a lot of characters that can be spun out from this first movie alone. Namely, we got a Bloodhaven name drop, and that is the future home of Nightwing. When Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing and then branches off and does his own work, he moves to Bloodhaven and that's where he operates. So that was really cool. Maybe we might down the line get some hints and nods to the Titans. I mean, that's way down the line, but maybe we could get some like Brother Eye action, stuff like that. Maybe with a Selina Kyle spinoff when she's in Bloodhaven. Speaking of Nightwing, I think that we have room for a Robin. I think the mayor's son and Bruce's connection was really well done, and you could just see Bruce's like connection to his situation. And so I was like, I got major Robin vibes. I was like, wow, is he gonna take this kid up as Robin? Or I think that this might have planted the seed that will then grow into him being like, the next time he sees an orphan, he's gonna take that orphan in and turn him into Robin. And so I really hope that we get the Flying Graysons and Dick Grayson specifically. I think we have to have Dick Grayson be the first Robin because he is the first Robin and he set a lot of precedent for what being Robin means. And I think him and Bruce's dynamic has always been really interesting, with Dick eventually going on to become Nightwing. So I really want to see that. I think that would be really cool. I would be open to seeing it in the next film or even the third film. Joker was introduced in this film. He's played by Barry Keoghan from Eternals. I thought he did an interesting job. I'm not sure. I have to see more. I didn't feel like it was the Joker yet. I was excited for it and I want to see more, but it didn't really I wasn't like, I'm intrigued, but I'm not sold. So we could see Joker come in, but to be honest, I think we need another villain in the second movie, preferably someone like maybe Mr. Freeze has been thrown around a lot. People really want Mr. Freeze. I would be open to Poison Ivy because then we could get Dr. Harleen Quinzel in the Arkham series. We have Catwoman and Poison Ivy in the Batman 2, and then we can get Gotham City Sirens. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud here, but I mean, I think we should get another villain and continue to have Joker be kind of in the background, and then have Joker be the villain in the third Batman film. Speaking of other villains, did we have a Bane nod in the film? Was that Venom that Batman takes when he's fighting the Riddler's henchman, I guess, on the rafters, and he like shoots himself up? It's probably adrenaline, but it looked really green. And is it really a coincidence that we have this green substance that gives him a lot of energy and anger? I mean, maybe this is the start of what will end up becoming Venom. Like maybe this is an adrenaline cocktail that Wayne Enterprises is developing or has developed, and maybe that's what he took, but then this will then become the Venom that Bane takes. This could be a take on the 1991 Batman storyline written by Dennis O'Neil, where Batman is like addicted to Venom. Could be the introduction of Venom for Bane down the line, and I would be very open to that. I know some people are like, relax, it's just adrenaline, but I mean, come on, it's a comic book film. This is like the fun stuff. I think it would be really cool if that was Venom. And then lastly, Court of Owls. This whole movie, the Riddler was like, there is so much corruption. There's a secret that's gonna blow away Gotham. And going into this movie, I was like, they might be doing the Court of Owls, which is a really good storyline. I'm a big fan of it, but they didn't. And so maybe they could explore that in the second movie or in like the third movie even. I think that would be another interesting thing that we could explore. Gotham Knights is going to be doing that storyline, so in the video game, so we'll see how that works out, but I think that also would be really cool. So those are my spoiler thoughts on the film. I had a really great time talking about it with you all, and I want to know, what did you think? What are your favorite moments? Who are your favorite characters? What did you love? What did you not like as much? What are your thoughts about the movie? Let me know in the comments below. Feel free to leave as many theories and spoilers as you want, since this is a spoiler review, and I can't wait to talk to you more in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great time talking about the Batman with me. Lots more videos coming soon, but in the meantime, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Click the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow movie enthusiasts. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.